With the way things are going in America, not only are midterm elections in November looking bad for Republicans, Lindsey Graham just died or was assassinated. Mitch McConnell's pulling off a real life weekend at Bernie's. The war in Iran and gas prices, there's a lot of uncertainty around what's going on over there. Ukraine war is still going on. So not only are the midterm elections looking bad, but also the 2028 presidential election could also be at risk for the Republicans. Now, recently, JD Vance went on the Joe Rogan Experience to try to salvage, I guess, what's left of his political career if he has any hopes of trying to actually run for president and potentially win in 2028. I haven't watched the whole interview, but what the clips I did see, he was basically talking about how everything's going around and there was misunderstandings about the MOU. So, who knows what's going to happen there. But in my opinion, if the Republicans do squander the election, the only way the Democrats could lose is if they beat themselves, which they haven't had an issue doing in the past few elections, sabotaging their own candidates. The whole issue in 2016 with Hillary and basically stealing the nomination from Bernie Sanders at the DOC or DNC. 2020 Biden won during COVID, but I've also become a lot more suspicious of the election results and the suspicions around the mail-in ballots. And then 2024, clearly with Kamala Harris, she was just, I don't know, she was half retarded. So I would say fully retarded, but that might not be fair to retards. So, but either way, if the Democrats play it smart, I think for 2028, one of the best choices for a candidate or a nominee that they could have would be our very own Andy Beshear out of Kentucky. Not only is Andy Beshear a Democrat in a red state as governor, but he also has pretty high poll numbers nationwide. And he was even considered as being the vice presidential nominee for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. That being said, I'd like to go through some of my, logic and reasoning why I think Andy Beshear would be the best choice for the Democrats, or at least one of the best choices, better than Gavin Newsom or anyone else that's kind of high up in the discussions right now. Now, if I'm going to talk about Andy Beshear and his political career, I feel like I need to go back a little bit further to his father, Steve Beshear, who was also governor of Kentucky. The Beshear background comes with some things that give me cause for concern and make me raise my eyebrows a little bit, but would be fitting for someone to go on to become president. So let's get started with Steve Beshear. All right, so Steve Beshear, here we see he's the 61st governor of Kentucky, 49th lieutenant governor of Kentucky, 43rd attorney general of Kentucky, and member of the Kentucky House of Representatives. So he was a career politician for well over, 3-4 decades. But something else that caught my eye about Steve Beshear, well, a couple things actually, was one, right here, following the marriage with him and his wife, Steve worked for a Wall Street law firm, White and Case. So being interested in White and Case, I looked them up. Well, I did a brief overview on Wikipedia, nothing extensive. But either way, it talks about the two founders here and where they went to college. White, Justin White went to Cornell, and then George Case went to Yale. But it doesn't let you click on George Case or anything, and it says he went to Yale. So out of curiosity, I was like, well, I wonder if he was a part of the Skull and Bones. If you don't know, the Skull and Bones is a notorious secret society, secret frat. As it was not so much of a secret because it's well known now, but it's a frat at Yale University that a lot of elites and presidents and all that have gone through. And so I looked it up, and yes, George B. Case was a member of the Skull and Bones Society at Yale University. So just a little bit more about the Skull and Bones. Here they were founded in 1832. Um, it's the oldest of Yale's famed secret societies. And then you can see over here, or here's their logo. So here's the logo for the Skull and Bones. And the significance of this 322, I had to look up. Here it says 322 is the numerical identifier of Skull and Bones, an elite undergraduate senior society at Yale University. It signifies the date of death of the Greek orator Demosthenes in 322 BC, marking the end of Greek democracy and the rise of plutocracy, which resonates with the society's focus on elite influence. So a secret society or a fraternal organization that at one of the most prestigious universities in the country, maybe even the world, um, where a lot of elites, including a high number of presidents, well, I don't want to say a high number, but including a number of presidents such as George Bush Sr., believes in a society with a focus on elite influence. So that should tell you the type of people that are in the organization and what their beliefs are and how they think society should run. I was looking through a little bit more. This White and Case law firm registered with the U.S. government as a foreign agent for the Panamanian government in 1981. At the same time, Panama was led by Manuel Noriega, a dictator with connections to international cocaine cartels. And then down here it shows Andy Beshear also worked at that law firm. So back to Steve Beshear. He also served as an intelligence specialist in the United States Army, performing some of the duties of a judge advocate general, also known as a JAG. So what is a JAG? Well, here it says Judge Advocate General officers are commissioned military officers who also serve as licensed attorneys. They provide legal counsel to commanders, prosecute and defend courts martial under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and assist service members with personal legal matters. The first time I ever heard the term JAGs was with an interview I watched with Kay Griggs, the wife of Colonel George Griggs. And here's Kay Griggs, and here's George Griggs. Now, Kay Griggs was pretty famous for coming out, and here is a brief overview. It says Kay Griggs is known for her revelations about corruption and misconduct within the U.S. military and government, particularly regarding issues like drug running, assassination squads, and sexual abuse. Her interviews have sparked discussion about the darker aspects of military culture and power dynamics. So the interview that it's talking about, I actually put in my a playlist for people to be able to go and see if they're interested. I'll put it on the screen. But it's like a 7.5-hour interview. I've only gotten through like 6 hours or so. It's very dense. There's a lot of information, a lot of names, a lot of stuff going on. But here was a brief clip from the interview where Kay Griggs was talking about JAGs and the power, I guess, or the influence that they can have.
Citizens do not realize how many JAGs are in our court system, and they take orders. They are in the chain of command, they're active reserve, and they are in our court system everywhere you look.
Not just federal, state, local?
Everywhere, yeah. And they're going to meetings once a month, and if there is a case like many of the military intelligence wives like myself, and we have information that would come out in a divorce hearing or whatever, they totally control it. It is Judge John Moore, in my case, in Virginia Beach, is an Army Ranger. He is active reserve. He's a VMI Army colonel. He's a graduate of VMI. In Virginia Beach, in the courts, there are at least 6 judges, and I'm including commissioners in that, because in Virginia we have a system where the commissioners do a lot of the decisions, and all of these in Virginia Beach who take care of military wives are military judges.
No, you mentioned the term VMI. What is that?
Well, VMI is Virginia Military Institute, and it's where General Marshall, the Marshall Plan, went to school. It's a little West Point. There's a lot of tradition there, but it's based on the Greek sort of Spartan military concept. And my father went to Washington and Lee, which is also in Lexington. And I know that there is some sort of, I won't say cult, but there probably is some sort of
Club?
secret society.
Okay.
And so it's very, very tight click. But what I was trying to say is that the judges are military men and they're not independent. They take orders.
They take orders.
There's a chain of command. And in my particular case and the other 11 military wives whom I have met so far, there are many, many more, but they've all been handled the same way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a normal divorce at all.
Yeah, I've heard of these kind of situations before, but it's never been put so concisely and so reasonably that there would be a connection. Why some people just, no matter what attorney you have, it doesn't matter.
Oh, no.
The divorces and the settlements of assets never go the right way.
No, and there's a FISA court, which I know is involved in my case.
What kind of court?
Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. It's a Justice Department secret court that American citizens are not aware of. There have been a couple of articles on it. It's a small group of men, and I think there's a woman on it. I believe there's 7 justices. And in reality, the article that I read, which was given to me by Mike Fuller, and I know he would not mind me using his name, he's a government assassin. He was like my husband, a government assassin who
When you say assassin, you talking like character assassination or kill people?
No, killing people.
Okay.
He's a mercenary, government mercenary.
Okay.
So in that clip, Kay Griggs talked about how these JAGs are still active reserves and take orders. Now, with Steve Beshear being a state attorney general, I didn't really know what attorney generals do when I looked it up. State attorneys general are the chief legal officers and chief law enforcement officials for their respective states. They act as the primary legal advisors to state agencies and the governor, represent the public interest, and enforce state laws. So you might be able to see how someone in that position who's also an active military reserve that could be potentially taking orders or is taking orders from military higher ups, you could see how there could be a conflict of interest with certain prosecutions and decisions, court decisions. I've already pointed out how Andy Beshear also worked at the same law firm, White & Case, as his father, that was started by a Skull and Bones member and another Ivy League graduate. So you can see how that could have some influence or impact on him. Now, beyond that, one of the things that made me consider Andy Beshear as being a strong candidate for the Democrats was, like I said, the fact that he is a Democrat in a red state, but he also has pretty high national poll numbers. So here it says in 2026, the most recent polls were 50% among Kentucky likely voters. But if you look down here, in a national context, Beshear was noted to have a higher approval rating of 65% in a previous survey by Morning Consult, making him the most popular Democratic governor in the country at the time. So he does have pretty high national approval ratings. For comparison, Bill Clinton's approval rating in Arkansas as governor peaked around 60%. And when he left the office of president, his approval rating was closer to 65% nationally. So around the same numbers. Granted, Andy Beshear hasn't been in office or anything like that yet, but just some simple numbers for comparison. Now, in my mind, comparing Andy Beshear to other past Democrats who became president after Republicans, such as Bill Clinton or Jimmy Carter, I think that there's some overlap with Andy Beshear that could make him a strong national candidate. So something else that kind of piqued my interest about Andy Beshear and a potential presidential run, was looking into his wife a little bit more. So when I looked into good old Brittany Beshear, now here it says Andy and Brittany Beshear met while working at an international law firm at Washington, D.C. So even though it doesn't say what the law firm was, I already pointed out how Andy worked at the same law firm his father worked at, White & Case. So presumably that's the international law firm that they met at. So I tried looking more up on Brittany Beshear to kind of find out more about her background and education. I couldn't find too much in the time that I looked, but the thing that stood out to me the most was where it said she is known for her advocacy and work in combating human trafficking and supporting victims of domestic violence. Now, I'm all for ending human trafficking. You know, fuck Jeffrey Epstein, fuck the whole class of pedophile elites that are, you know, abusing and feasting on, you know, innocent children. But I also have little trust for people in government helping with those causes. For example, if anyone, you know, if you're keeping up with Candace Owens and you've watched any of her coverage over the past year of the Charlie Kirk assassination and everyone around Turning Point USA, she's done a lot of digging into Erica Kirk and her past, and it's not a apples to oranges, you know, it's not an apples to apples thing, but just for a little bit of food for thought, Erica Kirk was involved with this charity organization called the Romanian Angels. And here it says, the Romanian Angels is subject of unverified claims of involvement in child trafficking. However, fact checks and available records show no evidence to support these accusations. So then I was trying to figure out, because I've heard some stuff on Candace where she talked about this more. And now here it said you're unable to find any information about a military operative in charge of Romanian Angels. But further down, it says in a video about Romanian Angels, Erica Franțe, which was her maiden name, Erica Franțe thanked Colonel Otto Beshear, the commander of the Black Sea Air Support Team base, for helping with orphans. So, who was Otto Beshear? Well, says Colonel Otto Beshear is associated with a scandal in Romania involving allegations of running a prostitution and human trafficking ring. The accusations date back to 2019, when a former translator at the Mihalwal Air Base claimed that a brothel was operated on the base where underage girls were brought to satisfy the desires of some soldiers. Among those who allegedly benefited from the services of the girls were the commander of the Black Sea Air Support Team base, Otto Beshear, and his right-hand man, Senior Adjutant Platoon Leader Lloyd Sparks. And then here again it says, additionally, Colonel Beshear was thanked in a 2013 video by Erica Kirk, the founder of the Romanian Angels charity, which was accused of being involved in human trafficking. So if you want to know more about that, definitely go check out Candace Owens, some of her past videos, where she discusses a lot more in-depth Erica and her connections with the Romanian Angels and all that. But point being, anyone in or around government involved with that, honestly, anyone at this point trying to help with human trafficking is suspect to me. And I feel like they're maybe involved, not everyone, obviously, but the higher ups of the organizations themselves probably don't have the best motives in mind. So just something to consider. There's kind of a peek into some of my thoughts of why Andy Beshear could potentially be not only a nominee, but potential candidate and winner of the 2028 presidential election if the Democrats don't blow it like they tend to like to do. Unfortunately, with all this thought and consideration, we'll probably still get stuck with some jackass like Gavin Newsom or JD Vance, but guess we'll see.
Fuck off. 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 Well, fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Oh, fuck off. 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 Drag. Fuck off.